Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are returning, I love you guys, and if you are new here, hi, my name is Bitsy. It's lovely to meet you. I hope we can be friends. Just remember to subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Wednesday and every Friday. And obviously, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to achieve the snatched foxy eye look. I recently posted a TikTok of me doing this exact look, and that video got over 2 million views in the last 24 hours, but it was highly requested in the comments that I do a full YouTube tutorial on this to go more in depth and show a lot more technique. So if you've been looking for a tutorial to break it down and make it very easy and inexpensive, you have come to the right place. Remember, throughout this video, I will include all of the products that I use, how much they are, and where I got them from, and on top of that, everything I use in this video will be linked down in the description box below. So beautiful people, without further ado, let's just jump right into the video. Alright, so you're going to want to start off with a clean face and clean hands. And I'm going to go right in with my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I'm going to take a little flat concealer brush like this one to really just pack it into my pores. I always prefer to use a brush instead of my fingers, but you can do it however you want. I just kind of have a phobia of using my fingers on my face due to being told my whole life that touching your face causes acne. And as somebody who struggles with acne, I try to minimize touching my face with my hands as much as possible. Now I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I'm just going to throw the product right on a little fluffy brush like this, and I'm just going to spot conceal all of my acne or scars or just red spots that I want the most coverage over. Now with this fluffy brush, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of pat that in. Instead of rubbing it or smearing it with my fingers, I just want to maintain the most coverage as possible, so I'm just going to do little light tapping motions to really just lock that in place. And now that we're all concealed, I'm going to go ahead with my Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Powder, and on this same brush, I'm just going to go ahead and set any places that I concealed just to make sure that they're locked in. I've been finding ways to conceal my acne for years, and this is my favorite technique that just works the best for me. Now I'm going to finish it off with some setting spray. I'm using the Pixi Glow Mist. We're going to go over top of this with foundation, and usually putting a foundation or a liquid product over a powder makes it clash and look cakey. But if you use a setting spray and you kind of rehydrate your skin, it looks less cakey and looks more natural and dewy. Really just let it all sink in and set. Then we can go ahead and move forward with foundation. I always like to throw on a headband to get these little baby hairs out of my face. So today I'm going to be using my L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow Foundation, and I'm just going to go ahead and dot that all over my face. By applying your foundation directly to your face instead of on your sponge, you can do either, but I find that I use a lot less product if I apply it directly to my face and just blend it out that way. But obviously you can apply your foundation however you want. And I always use a wet beauty blender, and I get asked all the time, why do I wet it and what difference does it make? It helps your foundation look just a lot more smooth and dewy and natural and just blend into your skin better. But I find with a dry beauty blender or with a brush, it usually gets a little bit more cakey for me personally. Whatever works for you though is what works for you. You can do it however you want. And always remember to blend it into your ears and down to your neck, especially if your foundation isn't a perfect match to your skin. It's a lot better than having a harsh line right on your jaw. I find that your foundation will usually dry down a little bit, and the less powder you put on, the less cakey your skin looks. And now after I've set everything with powder, I'm going to once again go in with my Pixi Glow Mist and lightly spray that all over my face just so it maintains kind of a natural looking glow to it. Alright, so now for bronzer and blush, I'm going to go in with my Too Faced bronzer. I continue my normal bronzing the top of my forehead down to my temples and down my cheekbones. The bronzing and contouring step in this look is probably one of the most important. So I'm first kind of going all over with some bronzer just to give me some color and definition on my face, kind of bring it under my eyes right here. Now using a little bit more of a precise brush, this is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. It's a lot darker than my Too Faced bronzer, so I like to go in just with where I want to accentuate shadows and dimension, and that would be right on my cheekbones. Go a little bit on my temples and a little bit on the top of my forehead, but not too heavy. Adding a contour shade or a little bit of bronzer to your jawline really just kind of makes it look more defined, and just blend it in so it looks kind of like a natural shadow. So next we're going to add blush. I'm using my Milani Baked Blush, And I'm just going to throw a little bit on this brush and throw it right on the apples of my cheek, pat it in, and blend it into my bronzer. And now that our face is all done, we're going to go ahead and move forward with brows. I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow Pomade in dark brown. I'm going to start by brushing my eyebrow hairs straight up as much as I can with just a plain spoolie. I'm going to go in with a tiny little eyebrow brush with a little bit of product on my brush. I'm just going to go ahead and underline the shape of my natural eyebrows. But with this look, we want to make sure that everything is as lifted and snatched as possible, especially in the eye region. And so I want my eyebrows, instead of going down and drooping and having a big arch, I want them to be as straight out as possible. I am not committed enough to shave the end of my eyebrows, but I will kind of extend the tip, going more outwards than downwards. So just like that. And now I have that type of shape. Yes, there is still an arch, but that is okay. And I'm doing the exact same thing on my other brow. I do a lot of going back and forth to just make sure that they're even. I'm not going to go overboard and color my entire eyebrow. I'm really just going in little spots that look like they need a little bit more product in them. So any spots that are like white, like if you look closely, you can see like right here on my eyebrow, just kind of needs a little bit of extra love. So I'm going to just throw some product right there. But I want them to look as like light and natural as possible. Just to achieve kind of a faded, natural looking eyebrow, you don't want too much product and you don't want to go too heavy handed. So I always make sure that I just wipe off as much product as I can, and I use whatever is left over on the brush to kind of just extend this bottom part forward. And I use a very, very light hand. I try to be as gentle as possible. I want the front of my eyebrows to just look as soft as possible. Although it doesn't look natural per se, it does look a lot less harsh and intense than putting the same amount of product as you would in the middle of your eyebrow. I always go back in with my clean spoolie and I just kind of brush the front of my eyebrows really lightly, just do little flicks just so there's no harsh lines and it kind of just blends in to my natural skin. Okay, and this is my eyebrows all complete. And I always say this and it's pretty obvious, but you can do your eyebrows however you want. If this is not your style, if you do not like this type of eyebrow, that is perfectly fine. You do it however you want. Just throw on some eyebrow gel. If you want to use a pencil instead of a pomade, that's okay. Like, do your eyebrows however you prefer to do them. This is just how I personally do them. This is the type of eyebrow that I like with this type of look. Now we're going to focus on the eyes, and that is probably the most important part of this whole look. That is kind of where the main focus should be. So the products you need to do this are actually really simple. All I use is my bronzer, and so I'm going to be taking my Too Faced bronzer once again on a little fluffy brush like this. I'm just going to go ahead and pack that right on my lid and blend it out. Instead of up, I'm just going to extend it outwards like this. I'm going to drag it pretty far out, like past my eyebrow almost. But I almost want my eyeshadow and my eyebrow to come together to a point. Without grabbing more product, I'm just going to go ahead and keep blending. I like to use windshield wiper motions or just little circular motions like this to blend my eyeshadow in. I'm going to use my other bronzer, the darker one that I used earlier, the Butter Bronzer by Physicians Formula. And I'm going to throw that more on the outer corners just to darken them up a little bit and give them more dimension. And you can always go in with your beauty blender, or in my case, I'm just using a brush. I don't even have any product on it, but I am just going to go ahead and wipe and clean up that line and make it as sharp as possible. I know a lot of you guys have been commenting that, you know, why don't you use tape or a credit card or something just straight and flat, and it'll just kind of give you a nice straight edge to go from. That is such a good tip. If you're having a hard time giving yourself this shape and keeping it in a straight line, use a piece of Scotch tape and just put some tape right here and just follow that, and then you can just peel the tape off whenever you're done. In my instance, I always do my foundation and my base before I do eyeshadow, and so I don't want to mess it up by putting tape on. I've done that too many times where I take off the tape and it takes off the makeup below it. So I personally have just kind of learned to keep everything in a straight line without tape or without using a straight edge, but you can totally do that. It makes it like 100 times easier. That is how I started, and that's how I learned how to keep my shadows in a straight line. I always used to use tape, so I 100% recommend doing that if you're struggling. So this is where we're at so far. So now using my Alyssa Edwards palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm going to go in with the color Back Rolls. Using a tiny little eyebrow brush, like an angled brush like this one, follow the line that we created with the eyeshadow. And so I'm going to give myself a little wing. And once again, if you struggle to keep it in a straight line, use tape or use a straight edge. It helps so much. I'm just so used to freehanding it, that's why I do it this way. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same line on the other eye. You can make your wing as short or as long as you want. It's really just personal preference. It's up to you. I like my wings pretty far extended. And somewhere in the middle of this line, starting, say like right here, I'm just going to go ahead and connect it to my eyelashes. We're going to go ahead and take that same dark brown and we're just going to line the top of our eyelids just like we would with normal eyeliner. I'm just going to take this brush without picking up more product and I'm just going to go teeny tiny little circular motions like this to kind of smudge out my wing and blend it into the rest of my eyeshadow. Now with this brush again, I'm going to go back in with the brown. We're going to go ahead and give ourselves like a little wing on the front of our eyes. Line your brush up with the angle that your tear duct is going down. Lightly just tap your brush right there and drag it out just a tiny little bit. You don't want to go too far, you just want a teeny tiny little line. We're going to go ahead and connect that, bringing it back to your lower lash line. And then making sure that it's all filled in too. There's something about using a brown eyeshadow to do this that makes it look a lot more natural than a black eyeliner would. Now going back in with our bronzer, we're going to go ahead and throw some right underneath our eyes on the lower lash line, and then we're going to go back in with this small little eyebrow brush and the brown eyeshadow, and we're going to just drag this wing underneath our lash line just so it all connects like this, just stopping right at this corner, just so all the attention and focus is on the outside of the eye. And that is literally everything as far as the eyeshadow and what we're going for. A bronzer and a dark brown color, that is all you need to be able to do this type of look. I really like the cat eye look. I always love to do a wing and I love the inner corner wings. I think it makes your eyes look so sultry. You can top off this look with just mascara if you prefer. I personally think that fake eyelashes really bring this look together and you'll see why in a second. So I'm using the Covergirl Lash Blast Volume Mascara, but it is extremely dried out because I've had it forever. And the key is to go as light and natural in the center as possible. And that's why I would like to use a dried out mascara. I'm going to be brushing all of my eyelashes to the side. I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, but I really just want to accentuate the wing and I want to bring everything that direction. And now that I have all of my eyelashes going at an angle outwards, I'm going to grab a pair of falsies. I got a lot of questions about which falsies I use for this look. I'm using the Ardell Faux Mink lashes in 811. I cut my eyelashes about 3/4 of the way. So I'm going to just throw a tiny little bit of lash glue. I'll be putting the front of my eyelashes somewhere right in the middle, in the center of my eyes like this. And I want the end, I'm going to pull it up and make sure that it goes up, like that it's lifted higher than my actual lashes. And yes, that does mean that there's a big gap between my lashes and the lash band, and you can see your skin in that gap. We're going to go ahead and close that up. So throwing some eyeshadow in there or some eyeliner. Now this is our finished cat eye shape. All right, I'm going to finish this look off with a little bit of a neutral lip. And this is officially our finished look. I have seen a ton of tutorials on this look already, but I hope that this video really just broke it down for you guys and made it as simple as possible to know that you can achieve this look very, very easily and at a very affordable price. I hope you guys try to recreate this look, and if you do, DM me a picture of it, tag me in your pictures, tag me in your TikTok, whatever you want to do. I would love to see it. If you are still watching and if this video was helpful for you in any way, please make sure you give this video a big like for me, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Wednesday and every Friday. Don't forget to tell me in the comments what you guys want to see from me next. I love reading the comments, you guys, and I always write down all of the video ideas that you guys suggest to me so I can make them. And as always, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and thank you for liking and subscribing. I hope you are all staying safe, staying healthy, and staying home, and while you are there, you might as well watch my next video. Mwah.